All right, welcome back to my channel. I'm Phil, the IT guy, and here I'm going to continue on with this journey of building my smart home out. Uh, Last episode, we got all the lighting installed. On the second episode, we got that Reolink camera set up, and this is what I want to talk about today. Quick question. How many of you have been following the series, gotten this far, and then thought, hey, this is great, but what happens if you add more cameras with AI detection? I thought about that a lot. Um, and Home Assistant on the Raspberry Pi just isn't going to handle that, even with an additional TPU, maybe the Google Coral TPU that you could plug in. It's just not really up to the task for more than a couple of cameras. And either way, it still slows down your automations and your response times. And I want mine to be snappy. So, all right. So we're going to unbox this MOREFINE M9 Mini PC. It's an N100 processor. It says that it is a magic computer. I'm not buying that for a minute, but let's go ahead and get this bad boy opened up, see what's in it. That is a well put together box. So here we have the actual computer. Well packaged, that's good. Here we are. Got little protective things on here. We'll peel those off later. As you can see, I have a single LAN. If I need another LAN, I'll just use a USB adapter. I've got dual HDMI outputs here. Is that HDMI? Yep, HDMI. Yep. And then we have other in here, audio, power, whatever else. And on the front, 2 more USB ports. So this is it. This is what's going to power Frigate. And this is going to do the job for us, I think. What this is going to do for me is allow me to run Frigate on its own, away from Home Assistant, so it doesn't interfere or use up any of the resources that my Home Assistant is using, which is the goal. I want Home Assistant to be snappy. And so we're going to use this to do the video processing. We're going to use this to do the AI detection of people and objects and whatnot at the door. So we're also going to use ProxMox for that. But before we can get on with Frigate, we have to decide how we're going to implement this out. Um, I'm going to put Frigate on its own, out there on a container or something, on ProxMox or what have you. But I want to put the MQTT broker on the Home Assistant system. It doesn't use a lot of time, and it really needs to be sitting there with Home Assistant, quicker to respond, faster, easier to deal with and configure. It's on the same system as Home Assistant. So we're going to go ahead and get that reinstalled here, and then we're going to move on with ProxMox on the other system. So let's go ahead and get the Mosquito MQTT broker installed and move on with our days, and we'll move into the ProxMox. So let's go ahead and do this search. Still don't like the way this search works, but it is what it is. Mosquito broker, install. And once this is installed, then we're going to turn on the watchdog and the auto update, and we're going to go ahead and start it. And we're going to look at this configuration and see what we need in here. We have certificate files in here. We have log destinations, not worried about logins. We needed a login for this, so I'm going to invent one for the system and move forward with that. We don't need to see that happen, so I'm just going to remove it. Let's go back to the overview and reboot Home Assistant, and we'll wait on that to come back up. All right, Home Assistant has restarted. Let's go ahead and see if there's any devices that have come up or integrations. So let's go to Settings, Devices and Services, and there's the MQTT. Go ahead and add that. Success. Wait there to reconfigure. Core Mosquito 1833. And let's get the username in here. And I'm typing that password wrong, or the name wrong. Um, nope. Okay. Let's let's get that straight. Always one thing, gentlemen. Always one thing or another. Let's go to settings, apps, mosquito broker, and activation. Thought I had that. Lost it. Interesting that I lost that. And now by the quarter, Philip. Need to restart that, I guess. Okay, for some reason the broker wasn't saving the username. I just configured it in plain YAML instead of using the UI, and here we are. Reconfiguration is successful. Boom, this is done. I don't have to do anything else here, and we're ready to move on to the next step, which is going to be to get the ProxMox installed on the MOREFINE or MOREFINE M9. If somebody can tell me in the comments what the correct pronunciation is, that would be appreciated. All right, so here we go. Let's get started on ProxMox. All right, here goes. I'm going to take my mouse and keyboard off so the recording is going to continue while I work on this thing. Plug these into the other device so it will work. Unplug my monitor and change to HDMI 2 here. Display HDMI 2. Turn that on and spam the keyboard. There we go. Got into the BIOS, and let's make sure that we have all the things turned on for yes, it is booting from that. So we're going to go ahead and install ProxMox virtual environment. And this will take a little bit. It's not that complicated of an installation, really. And now everything gets nice and small and Linuxy. Or hypervisory. And now on my huge giant screen, I have this EULA to agree to. Yes, you can have my firstborn son and you will buy me a Tesla. ProxMox virtual environment. The target. We're going to make sure we're using the right target. There's only one thing in here. Let's go ahead and hit next. And then country, we're going to be United States. And then America is the time zone, but it's America, New York. So let's find Eastern time here. And US English is the keyboard. Password, I'm going to type this in. We'll blur it if I have to. And email. Really? Alright, and now it wants, of course, us to set up a host name and everything, so we're just going to go ahead and call this ProxMox A. I'm going to give it an IP address on my network. 60, I've added that to my router already. DNS server, we'll go with Google. Oh, come on. Number lock not on. Alright, and make sure those numbers are typed in right. They are. Now it wants a fully qualified name for this. Okay, .local. How about that? Alright, everything looks good, and we run through the installation. Alright, so we have that done. It's set up in the lab now. We'll make it neater later, but now we're connecting to it. port 8006 is what you're going to use, and I changed the IP to 51. I completely forgot that was the IP I was supposed to use. And here we go. Now we're in. Let's get our login. Hit login as root. And there we go. Now it's going to give us this little thing here for a while, and I don't care about it. First thing I want to do here is go into ProxMox. And we want to go to repositories, and we want to disable this enterprise repository, and we want to add the free one. So we're just going to go with no subscription, add, and there we go. Enterprise is now not enabled. It's gone. So now we can go ahead and go to updates, and we can refresh. And let this go ahead and get started. So this is going to go through and make sure that we're fully updated. And then of course, it's trying to do the enterprise one, and that's not going to work. So in any event, that's loaded through. Let's go ahead and upgrade. That comes up in a new window, which we'll bring over here where everybody can see. And that's going to be this console window. Let me make that a little bigger for everybody. All right, and we'll say yes. Please use up my disk space. I have to click on it in the right place. And now it's going to go through and get all of this set up, downloading all the extra pieces and parts, making sure it's fully up to date, patched up and secure, which is really an important kind of thing. You don't want to leave your home wide open to every moron on the internet, do you? Probably not. So we'll let this run through. We'll take a moment or two. All right, that's finished up. We'll close the console and we'll switch back to the other window. All right, now that's done. The update is finished. We're going to get started. A couple of things. ProxMox itself, why I chose it. I could have run this anyway. I could have run this on a virtual machine. I could have just installed it on Windows. Actually, you can't install Frigate on Windows. I could have run it on a virtual machine inside Windows, inside Zen Server, inside of a lot of different things. But I chose ProxMox. It's free. A lot of people use it. There's documentation available for it. So if I needed help, I could research it. Promise you, I've done this 3 or 4 times already before I recorded this video. But it's a bare metal hypervisor, which means all of its operating system, its entire purpose is to run and manage virtual machines or containers on the system. So we have this web-based dashboard. There's no head on this thing. There's no interface other than the web interface for this. And we can create what are referred to as isolated LXC containers. These LXC containers can each run their own services. They're completely isolated from each other, but they have direct access to the shared system's resources in total. So I can run this alongside the media servers like Plex or like Jellyfin and things, and use the hardware decode of this N100 chip and its integrated graphics. So this makes a lot of sense to do it this way. It allows me to control more cameras in the future, which is what I want to do. So in practicality, it's just better. Frigate gets its own Debian container, its own resources. It doesn't compete with the Raspberry Pi. It doesn't slow down any functionality on the Raspberry Pi. It just works. And it is a little bit future-proof. So now that we have it installed, we're going to go ahead and think about getting this set up. But we don't want to make a video that's 20 years long to do this. So we're going to do that in the next episode. And we're going to take you from step 1 to step 10 or step 20 or step 58, how many ever there wind up being, to get this installed and set up and working. So join me next time on episode 7, where we build that container, Debian 12, Docker, GPU pass-through, and we get Frigate up and running with the Reolink doorbell so you can see the image on it. And beyond that, we'll go further and get up to the detection setup. So again, if you find this useful, please like and subscribe. We hope to see you here on the channel again, and in the comments, please check the description for all the links you'll need, and we'll talk again soon.